Today we're talking about the do's and the don'ts of selling items, keeping items, what you should look for, and what you really shouldn't care for. Before we get into it, make sure you're subscribed to my channel because I'm trying to hit 10K before the end of the year, and make sure you're following my Twitch because I stream almost every day. And now, without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, I am recording this in Season 1, but I've already played Season 2, and I already know what's coming. But basically, before we even get into the item sell or keep, you have to decide how you want to play the game. Because in my eyes, there's only two ways that you can truly play the game when you're looking at items. You can either care about your missions or you do not care about your mission. And in my honest opinion, I think you should 100% complete all of the factions because that's how you make a ton of money early game. The quests give you a lot of money and it gives you access to those end game quests. And it gives you access to those end game items like dungeons, drills, and oil pumps. I made a tier list to help you guys out in understanding some items, why they're useful and why they're not useful. So let's pull that up. So this is the tier list I made, and let me explain some things to you about this tier list. If you want your own copy of this, there will be a link for this image in my Discord, so make sure to join my Discord in the description. But now let's go over this. So the very top row is what you're truly never going to want to sell, and the bottom row is what you can always sell, and there's some different reasonings for these items. So if we go down to up, these are going to be some of the more common items in the game, and they include a lot of the creature heads. The creature heads, from my experience in Season 1, had nothing to do with any quests, no items. They're literally there just for money. So if you find a creature head, sell it because the Strider heads sell for 6K, and especially if you get the heavy creatures heads, those sell for a ton of money, like 50K, and they also give you a ton of faction points. And if you don't know, the more faction points you gain, the more guns and the higher level you unlock in your factions. But these bottom row of items are items that are just extremely easy to find, or items that you truly don't really need, and if you do need them, it's going to be for some quarters upgrades later in the game. These are all fairly easy to find as well. And now if we go to the next column, these items are also fairly easy to find. You mainly just need these items for quests. Like you see, you have bone plates right here, you have cloudy Veltasite, you have Veltasite. These items can be helpful. Again, it's all up to parameter. This is just a bulk list of what you want to keep and want to sell. But early game to mid game, this is the list you're going to want to keep. Now if we go to the B tier section, these are some of the items that you're going to want to see, and if you have room for them, keep them. If you don't have room for them, you can sell them, but they're just a little harder to get. Now these blue CPU drives are really good for crafting armor. These meteor frags are decently difficult to get. You have Ledium over here, which you should sell, but you could keep to craft the legendary weapon. Ledium is what you get from doing the drills. You have the glowy stuff, which you only find in the storm, and it's important to keep it because it's not really exciting to keep waiting for the storm and going back and collecting these items. So if you just get them in bulk one time, keep them in there laying around, you never have to go back. And the rest of these items are used for craft, orders, upgrades in the future that are difficult to get. Like this crusher flesh right here is pretty hard to find, so if you get it, just keep, because you will need it later on down the road. Now if we go to the A column of this, these are items that you're gonna want to usually keep. The left to right pistons are crucial because you need a ton of them for attachment, and trust me, later on in the wipe you get, the more attachments you're gonna want to craft, make, and find. We'll keep all of them. The meteor cores are something that are decently hard to find, so please make sure you keep them because you're gonna need them for some craft, because you're gonna need them for crafts, and you're gonna need them for quarters upgrades. The next thing are optic glass. These are fairly common, but you are gonna make a lot of scopes, so make sure to keep them if you have room. Derelict explosives are really good for crafting dungeons, and they're decently hard to find, so if you find them, just keep a stack or two. Pure focus crystals can be used to craft exotic armor, so if you're in that area of the game, make sure to keep those. These co-multi-tech tools are really important for attachment as well, so keep as many of those as possible because these plus the pistons are super crucial in crafting different attachments. Medical supplies are also something you need a lot of. At one point in time, I needed 20 of them, so if you find them, make sure to keep them around as they can be extremely helpful later on down the road. Blue runner eggs are decently difficult to find. You can follow the footsteps of the animal that you'll see highlighted on the road of wherever you are, and you do need a good amount of these early game, especially for Osiris, so if you find them, just keep them so you don't have to go back looking for them. And these last two items are especially good for grinding for attachments, so if you see them, just save a stack or two if you can. And now for the last row of items, which you truly should never sell and use for items, for crafting, use for quests. These are extremely crucial. Autoloaders are really important for crafting attachments. Gyroscopes are hard to find and are really good for quest items and from exotic armor crafts. You also need miniature reactors and a ton of them, especially for the ICA faction. So I would never ever sell these unless you're completely done with all of the missions. Smart mesh is something you're going to need literally from day 1 of wipe to day 80 or day 90 or the last day, whatever day it is of wipe. Never ever sell smart mesh. Sell other things down here to make room for smart mesh. I am not kidding. Smart mesh is extremely important. And now Now, Veltocite hearts and pure Veltocite are one of the higher tiers of the Veltocite, and they can be extremely annoying to find, especially if you have a mission to find a Veltocite heart. You're mining for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours if your luck is extremely bad. Just keep one. You just need literally a stack, not even a stack, just keep 1 or 2 in there. But the pure Veltocite, keep as many as you can. Just try to have minimum a stack of each if you can. Just make room for that. But now that we've gone over the tier list again, if you want a copy of this, join my Discord and there will be one in there. So now let's talk about the player orders. This is going to be an area you're going to spend a good amount of your time in, and you're going to want to go in there and check it out and see what items you need for your crafts, and you're going to want to start saving up these items because as you can see, I'm trying to go from level 8 quarter to level 9, and you can't see right now but my face cam is in the way, but right now I need 14 smart mesh to upgrade it, 3 crusher flash and 1 master unit CPU, and this just shows you how much smart mesh you need throughout the game because only for one upgrade, for a single upgrade, I need 14 smart mesh. And then you can go all the way down this list of generators, inventory, gear printer, learn what you need, and just start upgrading everything because you're gonna need a lot of everything in this game. A lot of people commented on the first version of this video that I made, so basically just keep everything, and kind of, yeah, you want to keep as much as you can. That's why you gotta upgrade your stash, upgrade your storage. So imagine you're going through quests, you're like, okay, I need 10 pistons. Okay, well, since I don't have room for these pistons, let me sell something. So you sell a ton of an item. Then the very next quest, it says, give me this item, and you just sold all of it. So now you have to go back out there, search for more things instead of just having it stashed up and stored for you. Try to save as much as possible for you. Now let's talk about some of the gear in this game. Now for early to mid game, where this guide is going to be mainly focused on, but if you want to craft those bigger backpacks like medium and large, I would really never recommend a heavy duty backpack just because it takes a smart mesh, and there's other things that you can use your smart mesh for instead of the bag. So I wouldn't recommend the purple one, but for the green one, it's super easy to get with poly and altered nickel, and you can also craft altered nickel with just 5 regular nickel, so be wary of that. This is pretty simplistic to get, so if you want a little bit of a bigger bag at 250 backpack capacity, make sure to grab this green backpack. It's pretty cheap. Then the large backpack can be a little bit intimidating from an outsider's point of view, but textiles are fairly easy to find. I would recommend you go to Lagoon. There's a ton over there usually, and pale ivy blossoms can be found everywhere in the jungle, and they only weigh a pound, so once you get them, stash them in your safe pockets, and then you can bring them home safely. Altered nickel, same message as the last bag. Now for consumables, which is something I want to talk about. Since you're watching this in season 2, you know there's some new grenades in the game, but I, early game, would not recommend crafting any of these grenades. I would focus on keeping all of your resources close to you and use them for quests and use them for heals. You're probably going to have strong stims unlocked first, and you want to focus on crafting these stims. You could craft combat stims, but again, they're worth it, but I just buy them in bulk with the actual Kmark value of 4,600. But since it's early to mid game, I would recommend crafting strong stims since they're so cheap. They literally cost 1 old medicine, 1 bright cap mushroom, and 1 water weed filament, and in literally one run you could have 10 of each item, and I'm not even kidding. Just by going to waterfall labs, vaccine, rock pools, lake, there's a ton of different options to get all of these items. Extremely simplistic. And again, if you have any questions, make sure to hop on over to my Twitch where I stream almost every day and ask me anything you want. But strong stims are definitely recommended just because they can give you that little bit of an advantage in winning that gunfight. And now speaking on the armor side, in the early game, you're going to either want green armor or blue armor. Green armor is super simple to craft, and it takes hardened metals and spinal base. Hardened metals you can find almost literally everywhere on the map, and spinal base you can find just by killing striders. They drop this item. That's for the helmet. I really wouldn't recommend the restoration and tactical shield just because they take a little bit more items, and I really don't think they're that worth it. And now for the green shield, you need polymetallic prefabricate and spinal base. So again, poly is going to be found in those medical areas like waterfall labs or a vaccine, and you'll find spinal base again from striders and just killing them. The green armor is super simplistic to craft, and it's cheap and only costs 1,000 for each piece. Now for the blue armor, which is a little bit harder to get, you're going to have to use aluminum scrap, which can be found in base camp, and if you go in Crescent Falls, you can find a ton of aluminum scrap, especially in favela if you're bold enough. And you need rattler skin, which you get just by killing rattlers. They drop skin. They probably drop 1 to 2 each time. So helmets are super simplistic to get, and if you want a shield, you need Zero System CPU, which can be found in the jungle and in other higher tier loot areas. I've found them even in vaccine, so again, they're very sporadic, but I usually go to jungle for these. Cloudy Veltocite can be found by just mining Veltocite. Super simple to get. It's very common as well, so you'll have lots of it. And again, the same message goes for the rattler skin. You need 5 this time, but again, this craft is very simplistic, and if you want a full blue set, it's going to be around 12-13k, so you can use the blue set to get more blue sets and more guns from other people, since you'll have an advantage on the white armor guys. But again, look through all of your crafts, even make a list, write them them down, everything you need to look out for, everything you want to keep, everything you want to sell. Use the tier list to your advantage. Join my Discord, ask me questions on Twitch. Again, there's a lot of resources for you guys to use. And now for the attachments, this is what I was talking about. You're going to want to craft some different scopes. So if you want a holographic scope, you need hardened metals, which we have just talked about. You can find anywhere. And optic glass is also found in a lot of those cabinets in Waterfall or Vaccine. And these are two very common items to find. The 4x optic is one of my favorites, especially for those snipers or those DMRs like the Lacerator, the Basilisk, even the Kinetic Arbiter, but I know none of us are there yet. And for the 4x optic, you need print resin and you need optic glass. Print resin, you can find it in structures, containers within very high danger areas. Again, you can maybe find it in jungle if you're lucky. I usually go Crescent Falls and go to Favela, again, to find these just because Favela is such a nice area, but it's very dangerous, so be careful. And optic glass, it's the same exact message from before. Find it in the cabinet. And now this is one of the main reasons why you need smart mesh. It's for suppressors. There's a gun called the Shatter Gun and the Hammer that both make so much noise if they're unsuppressed, and you're gonna need to use smart mesh on these items. As you see, the medium suppressor, which you're gonna use on the Shatter Gun, you need hydraulic pistons and a smart mesh and aluminum scrap. So make sure to save up these items. I literally at one point in time, I had like 70 pistons and I literally went through them so quickly. Save up your pistons, save up your smart mesh, and save up your aluminum scrap, because that same crafting recipe is used for small suppressors. You're gonna need basically the exact same thing, identically same thing from medium to small suppressor. Now, the only thing I really want to touch on is the converters. Converters can make a big difference. One prime example is the Kinetic Arbiter. Again, I know this is a late game weapon, but it's just an example. This gun with a purple converter can one-shot head tap a purple armor, but if I didn't have the converter on, it wouldn't be able to headshot. And again, the converters do a ton of additional damage, so make sure to craft them if you have the availability. You do need auto loaders, and again, more pistons, and you need magnetic field stabilizers. So just keep in mind these items, and if you don't know where something is, just hover over the item and it says right here, can be found in dumpsters, can be found in industrial crates within very high danger areas, and can be found in industrial crates. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Comment down below, ask me on Twitch. These are some of the main items I would look out for. There are some new additional things you can craft. Again, this is recorded in season 1, but I know you can craft additional items like pure Veltasite now, and you can craft those pure focus crystals. So again, just look down your list of materials and look down everything. Just understand how everything works, and that'll put you at a better spot for season 2 and beyond. Now, I know it's short and sweet, but that is literally all you guys need to know. Again, if you have questions, feel free, come by my Twitch, ask me anything you want, come by my Discord. There's a ton of people in there to help you out. And again, let's grow this community together. Let's make this game as big as possible. Let's make us, our community, as big as possible. And I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Deuce.